Hey everyone, welcome back to the Be More Marketing course. My name's Jordan, and in this episode, we're going to be exploring the concepts of positioning, competitors, and a USP, also known as a unique selling point, and why these are crucial components to having online success with your business. So let's get into it. So, what is positioning? Positioning is simply the market segment or niche your business operates in. This allows you to carve out space for yourself in the market and help customers distinguish you from your competitors. You see, with this, businesses are able to break away from the broad categories that their market falls in and be very specific to the customers in which they serve. So, an example here could be the food market, right? Which we know is one of, if not the biggest market on this planet. Why? Because everyone needs to eat. But branding yourself as merely a food company still doesn't really give your customers too much insight into what kind of business you are, because the category itself is just so expansive. So if you wanted to position yourself and break away from this broad category to bring about more identity to your business, you could brand yourself as a healthy food business as opposed to just being food. But again, we know that this is still a very, very broad category, right? And even in branding yourself as that, in positioning yourself as that, you're still not really giving too much information to your target customer. So let's say we want to niche even further, right? And instead of just being healthy food, we're now vegan food. And this is a massive improvement from the two levels above it, because we're far, 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 far more specific with what it is our business proposition is, right? But again, vegan food is still a really big market. So let's say we wanted to niche down even further. So instead of just being a vegan food business, we could be a Mediterranean vegan food business. And with this, now we are in the space of being very specific to where our target consumers will be able to immediately identify us and separate us from our competition. And instead of just being known as the vegan food business, we're now seen as the Mediterranean vegan food business. And I cannot stress to you how important that little distinction will be to the overall success of your business. Positioning is important because not all customers are the same. And doing this allows like customers to resonate with your business more and be front of mind and allow you rather to be front of mind for that particular segment. And it's important to understand that all successful companies do this, as it's the first step towards them being able to generate brand loyalty from their target audience. So, how do you find your position? First of all, you need to examine the market you intend to set up your business in. Again, everything starts with the market. You want to then examine the smaller segments your market is comprised of and look for any opportunities of a particular segment being underserved. So in this instance, the market in question was food. And then in us analyzing the smaller segments, we were then able to drill down to Mediterranean vegan food. And with that, give us more opportunities to own this space. And in doing that successfully, you're now able to ward off competition, as customers in these circumstances are able to establish a higher level of brand loyalty, which also means that they're willing to pay a little bit more than they would be willing to otherwise, which means now not only are you protecting your customers from competitors, but you no longer have to compete on price because you're creating that brand loyalty through you being able to niche. And a word of warning here. The same way you don't want to be creating products out of thin air and services out of thin air and assuming that there's people out there who wants to use them, is the same way you do not want to invent a position, right? You need to do the research. Customers will only buy into something which they resonate with already. And you cannot advertise your way out of this, right? So if in you inventing a position that no one is resonating with means that you then feel that it's in your best interest to promote it as hard as possible to convince people are just going to reject it even more and even stronger. So please do the research. It'll be the easiest thing for you, and that is honestly the path to least resistance. So why is competition important, right? Because despite what people say, competition is actually a good thing, because competition actually validates your market, since there wouldn't be any competitors in the market if they weren't customers already there spending money, which means that more competition, the bigger the market. And the bigger the market means that there's more opportunity for you to carve out a position for your business. And I know this may appear counterintuitive, and you want to go into something where there isn't really a lot of competition, right? Because you want to own the space and so on and so forth. But low competition can mean either three things. It can mean, firstly, that the market is small and there's low demand within that small market. Secondly, it could mean that the barriers to entry are very high. So capital costs might be high, labor costs might be high, marketing costs may be high. And with all those costs being high, that can then pose as a disincentive for anyone actually wanted to enter into that market to begin with. And thirdly, the last reason why a market may have low competition is because it may be a market which is geared towards a natural monopoly. And what that means is that the market only has enough space for one. And the situation like this is a train track. You can only have one train on the track at any one time, right? It wouldn't make sense having 2 or 3 competitors on one track, right? And which is why in its nature, it only makes sense for there to be one. So as far as markets that you want to realistically look to step into, you want to step into a market where there's high competition, but also a market where there's low barriers to entry. So what's a USP? So besides having, a well-defined position, what else protects you from your competitors? With this comes something known as a unique selling proposition, so a USP. Your USP helps you to appear more attractive in the face of your competition. And to develop a strong USP, you again need to draw back to your market and find what your competition isn't doing. Or even better, discover a strong pain point regarding the general service in your chosen market and then provide a solution to that. You see, the strongest USPs tend to reverse the risk from customer to company. Examples of this include providing an unlimited warranty. compensation if a product isn't working, and things of that nature. But what you want to avoid, as far as USPs goes, is having one that centers you around being the cheapest. Instead, you want your USP to be centered around value. People don't mind paying a little extra if they're getting value. And in you presenting yourself as a cheapest option, you're going to be doing nothing but impacting the longer term sustainability of your business, as your profit margins will be severely eroded away over time. And to use an example of someone that was able to use a USP brilliantly and own the market is Domino's. You see, so Domino's entered the pizza market around the 1980s. And this was at a time where it was very congested and where they already had defined competitors, in the shape of Papa John's, Pizza Hut, etc. And what Domino's did was that they identified a pain point in the market, which was pizzas being delivered cold. So what Domino's did was they created a USP which addressed this head on, giving money back to customers if the pizza wasn't delivered within 30 minutes, and still made them keep the pizza. This allowed them to gain tremendous market share and allow them to expand tremendously to then go on to dominate the pizza industry for the next 2 decades. So that really goes to speak to the power of having a well-crafted USP, and it's definitely something that you want to be considering when you're building your online business. Hey there, thanks again for watching. If you have any questions relating to what we've covered in this episode, or if you feel you need further assistance in creating a marketing campaign or developing a marketing and business strategy, then you can either message us on Instagram at BeMoreNetwork, and you can find our tag or our handle at the bottom of the screen, or you can email us on info@bemorenetwork.com, and we'll make sure to respond promptly to any requests. Cool. I look forward to hearing from you. Peace.